Okay, okay. Yes, and today's episode is going to be fun, right, Andrew? What's what are we talking about today?
Does you wanna do the normal intro, or we just gonna jump into it today?
No, 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 you're right. You're right. You would think I would have it memorized by now.
Right.
Welcome to the Why Dad Podcast. We are your hosts, Paul Wandry and Andrew Stopelstead, and we are on a mission to figure out what it means to be a man, a husband, and a father. Not as experts, but as guys just trying to figure it out, learning what actually matters, what's just noise, and how to become the versions of ourselves our families need and deserve. This is the place for honest conversations, real habits, and the kind of growth that happens intentionally. We're redefining fatherhood one habit at a time. Shoot, I hit it twice. Damn. One thing about our intro, not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but you know how you write something and then it, you get like different, it hits you different, even if it wasn't what you initially intended.
Yeah.
One thing about our intro where we're like, this is a place for real conversations. Do you ever feel like just listening? Well, I mean, like podcasts and social media and whatever that like, it's just the same shit, not shit. It's some of it's good stuff, but it's the same, like the same buzzwords, the same spiel over and over, just like slightly different spins. And like, how often do we actually just really get deep and like challenge what's being said instead of like, oh yeah, like, that sounds really good. Yeah.
Oh, there's few podcasts that I'll listen to that'll, challenge. I don't know if, like, I'm in the spot to challenge a lot of what's said, especially with some of our guests, because 'cause I'm not a dad. I'll challenge what you say just because it's you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. I get that. That makes me think, and this has nothing to do with today's episode, but that makes me think about like my conversation with my friend in Asheville. We talked about on the last episode where he's like, like I'm not a parent, so he was kind of like recognizing that he doesn't have the whole picture, which, I get that. I respect that. It's like
Mhm.
it is true. Like my perspective now is very different from what it was before. But at the same time, we're rational human beings with observation skills and like you can still come to conclusions. Like you
Yeah.
can observe and come to a conclusion even if you don't have even if you're on the upper peel of the onion, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's oh, I'm gonna sneeze just a second. False alarm.
Shit, I mistimed that drum joke.
I was sitting there waiting for it. No, obviously as a human beings, like, there's stuff that if it doesn't sit right with me, like, yeah, I'm gonna call that out or challenge it. Part of it to get a deeper understanding, part of it to expose the flaws in the logic being said and try to find the tr- what truth is trying to be said but is not being said very well or something like that. So, you
Yeah.
know, as an
Yeah, that's a good point.
as an uncle, like, there's a time and a place for me to step in and say, like, yo, that's I don't know if you should be doing stuff a certain way, but to the most part it's like you said, I'll just observe to draw my own conclusions. And I don't know. I don't think you and I've ever had to say like I don't know about that with you and Evie, things like that, because we're trying to figure this out together. Maybe there's certain principles, but I won't say things like you're too soft on your daughter or that's not way to be a good dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then that brings up a whole different element, like, side of, like, like, how you broach things and if you should even broach things.
Mhm.
And it all comes down to, like, intent, and, like, if your intent is to, like, learn and educate yourself and, like, oh, like, well, maybe, maybe he sees something I don't, or if it's, like, because you and I are close enough that's, like, you could come to me and be like, "Hey, like, why do you give Evie ice cream before bed every night?" Like, which, just that doesn't happen, but, like, 'cause, don't you think that's going to affect her sleep and affect her developmentally? I'm like, "Okay. No, you're full of shit, Andrew. You don't know." No, just kidding. But it all comes down to intent and, like, and then method. But anyway, I was just thinking about that. I've been
No,
thinking
it's
about it.
it's a good thought.
It's something I need to do because I find myself it's like, self, not because it's disingenuous, because it's genuine, like, I genuinely think that whoever's on the other side of the mic, whatever they're saying is like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds like that makes sense." So,
Right.
maybe it's something I need to even just, like, wait, but, like, how might it not make sense? Or, like,
Mhm.
should it be challenged as opposed to just taken at face value? And so, anyway, something I will be working on.
Who am I gonna go with this? I gotta think. I may now I'm just feeling dead air, trying to think out loud so there's not a big silence, between us.
Silence is okay. Just
I'll just edit it out later. It's important to come to understand why things are being done in order to judge them if they're being done correctly.
mhm.
And so that's why I like the Socratic method even with helping kids. Why are we doing it? Why are you doing it this way over that? Enlightens me to something I'm missing. And if there's just no good reason, then maybe I'll interject with what you're trying to do doesn't align with. Okay, I'm going very on a deep end by using the words that I choose the way I do. Not everything is as deep as I say it is, but I'm just using an extreme here. Like maybe that's not a lot like aligned with XYZ and some order of either like psychology or natural human behavioral, or even if you want to get into it, it's a gray area even on an ethical side. So
Yeah.
but then you gotta be precise and not nice, but not
Yeah.
harsh. Like,
I
"You're
I think
bad 'cause you're putting them into you're saying you could be a hypocrite by saying this and then doing that and blah, and that's a bad example." It's like, no, there's more tactful ways to approach the
yeah.
subject.
Well, and then it comes down to, like, you catch more flies with honey than
Yeah, keep going.
what whatever the rest of the saying is.
Vinegar.
Vinegar, thank you. You catch more flies with honey than, dirty underwear. No,
That might not be true.
actually, I was just, yeah, I was trying to think of something absurd, but anyway, I'm not going to beat that dead sheep. Okay, so because you could, yes, to your point, there's tact. Um, like you could say something and it could just turn the other person completely off from even wanting to hear what you have to say.
Mhm.
So that's an important reason for being tactful and polite. And then to your point, like, come. regarding Socrates, like trying to come at it from a point of understanding versus from a point of judgment, like that's huge. That's a win-win because if you're coming from a point of judgment, like you're setting yourself up like you as an w- one person, right? Like an individual is they are setting themselves up for failure because they're like I am right about something and therefore they're closing themselves off to possibly learning. And then two, they're coming at it, probably more aggressively. Whereas, if it's like, hey, simpatico, like I just want to understand more of like for my benefit, but then also like if I understand like how your brain is working, then I'll understand you better. And then understanding, I just like we just had that post on connection. I think that's a
Yeah.
piece of connection that I didn't touch on or we didn't touch on, understanding. Like if you understand and feel understood, the connection is going to be that much more.
Was that yours or mine?
Scratch on the door,
Yeah.
my system. You want
And that makes me think of what Sean Dawson told us. Just you taking what he's applying to kids and applying it to how you and I interact. There's a time and a place to shout and yell and maybe pass that judgment before. Example given, kids walking down the street and you're on the sidewalk and a car's coming. You're not gonna ask him if he's making the best choice at that time or as if there's a better possibility because in 2 seconds he's gonna be pancaked.
Mhm.
So, same principle, different scenario.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we just spent 15 minutes on that. So, do we keep digging into that or is there something else you wanted to talk about or do we just play around with sound effects?
Was there anything we were talking about the other day that we wanted to share?
Well, one of the things we were talking about, which we kind of have talked about before in the past, is the objective of education.
Yes.
What else were we talking about? I mean, that's the main one that comes to mind.
What did you tell me? Maybe we can dissect this and go into it.
Okay, you want to hear like these like they were just I haven't sat down long and hard to like deep process this, but you want to hear the things that I texted you like that came to my mind at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll say what I sent you, and then I'll say also what I thought about on my walk yesterday. So I think what I texted you was well, let me back up.
Beep,
I think when
beep,
it comes
beep.
wait, that deserves
You're having too much fun with that.
oh boy, we're gonna have so much fun with this. And I'm already looking up the top 10 soundboard effects to have. Like we need a truth bomb, sad trombone, gotta have that, air horn, crickets. Oh man, we're gonna have too much fun. We're gonna have like an episode of just pure sound bites. Okay, so backing it up. This comes like if you're a parent or you're like thinking about education for kids at any point for any reason, you're you're a parent, you're an uncle, you're an aspiring dad.
Mhm.
This struggle or this challenge has probably come across your mind. And that's like our is the public school system or even the private school system or really any of the school options really providing our kids with what they truly need to be happy and successful. And I'm not some like, yes, I was raised homeschooled and then I went to boarding school for high school with Andrew, but I'm not some like homeschool evangelist. I just want to inform myself, right? And I'm sure a lot of, maybe you listening to this episode have thought about this too at some point. And I just want to inform myself. And this is just, I just want to, I want to challenge, like, just like we're doing with our other episodes, I want to challenge the status quo.
Why do
And
you,
right now,
so
the
why?
status,
Why?
go ahead.
Why? Why do you want to
Well,
inform
because
yourself?
lemurs, like everybody just assumes it's the right thing to do because everybody does it, right? Or that it's the best option because everybody does it. Or, like some people I know, they're like, well, I turned out fine, so therefore it's the best option. Is is that a true premise? I don't know. So, and it never hurts to question, right?
Right. But I want to know. I want to know the why. The purpose of this why.
The purpose of the why. So we're taking it to the next level of the why. Well,
Why do you want to be informed?
because I wanna make the best selection for Evie and for Liam, and it's also like a and why do I wanna make the best selection? Because I want to give them the best tools possible, like, I wanna set them up for a happy and what's the word? Not even, like, successful because that can be misconstrued, but, like, a peace, like, not
Aristotle has a word for this. Eudaimonia.
that's, like, the level of happiness that's, like, where everything is in alignment and, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, where everything just, like, clicks. Obviously, not everything will fully click, but maybe more things will click than not. And by things clicking, I mean, like, knowing yourself and knowing how you operate and knowing what you want out of life and going for that and things being in alignment, like your relationships and your family and your work and your free time, it all goes towards a singular
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
purpose, right?
Right.
And that consistency, that eudaimonia, that cohesion is what I think will ultimately bring satisfaction and fulfillment out of life.
Okay. So you stated you wanted to. You're asking this why because of your children. Is there any? What's the purpose for Paul? Personal purpose.
Well, one of my role or one of my ids, right? I don't know if I'm using that correctly, but like part of who I am is a father, right? Like I am a father, and my purpose as a father is to care for and guide my children to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And fulfilling that purpose will be its own reward. And knowing that I am giving my children, well, and here's a selfish reason because there are, uh, there are things that, and there needs to like be a permanent disclaimer, where if like anything I say about how I was raised, like, does not mean I like have anything against my parents or I think they did a bad job or whatever.
I think that has been made abundantly clear, and we should be able
Yeah.
to
But,
take it for
but
granted. Yeah.
this could be the first episode that they're listening to. Or my
True.
dad could be popping in and be like, oh, my son hates me. No. Anyway,
He doesn't, Jeff.
yeah, I don't hate you, Jeff. I love you. I love you much. But anyway, there are things about how I was raised and educated that
Mm-hmm.
I want to do better at, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, like it caused me like like it bra- it pro- it produced hurdles in my life, right? And if I can reduce those hurdles for my kids, or yeah, reduce those hurdles for my kids, then that'll make me happy. You know, it's like if it can't be me, right, then better somebody I love, if that makes sense.
Right, right, absolutely.
So
And all good answers, honestly. I was going to try to keep pushing you till you finally answered the personal goal as what you wanted for your own kids too. And then I was going to be like, and that's the purpose of education. Because when you're talking about the whole self-alignment, everything, mind and body are working together in sync, a fully formed mind and a fully functioning body, then you can achieve that, you can put into act that potential that you have.
yeah,
And so I I was gonna try to push I was gonna keep pushing you till you said that, and I know you would eventually, because I know you.
yeah. So I kind of blanked on the key piece. What exactly did you were you pushing me to get
So
the point? I was
when you were talking about being informed so you can give all the tools dispensable to your kids to achieve that fulfillment or that eudaimonia, and I know you eventually would have gotten there if you had gotten asked more wise.
well, possibly.
Yeah, I think
I,
eventually you would, because
like
it would
because
just be
that's the
like,
thing.
well,
I had
okay,
already
but why do you want to inform yourself on that? Okay, so why that? And it would just be a reduction to,
yeah. Anyway,
which is, yeah, you went into the more personal parts, which is the more human, which are all good.
yeah. So either way, everybody has the things that are important to them, and honestly, like before we get into the challenge itself, like I don't think there is a perfect solution. Like there you could send your kids to public school and then they'll be exposed to things that you don't want them to, and then they have to face those challenges, but then you could keep them home and then they could be over sheltered, or like
Yeah, that's leaning more into the societal
and
impacts.
like, there could be kids, like statistically people argue for homeschooling because statistically homeschooled kids are better educated and perform better pretty much across the board.
What does better educated mean?
Well, yeah. According to current guidelines, it's better grades, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're better socially acclimated. But also, the people who are considering homeschooling are also probably the people who are going to be talking to their kids about, like, what did you learn today? Like, who, like, and they're going to be having those critical thinking
Mhm.
conversations that will be able to, if there is something like controversial, or they're dealing with something like with their friend groups or other groups that's a challenge or whatever, like they're going to have the support at home to help them work through that, and then they will be resilient. They will be more
Right.
resilient for it. So really, like people who are considering homeschooling are probably the people that will also be producing children who are in the upper tiers of education, right? So if it's just a matter of performance,
But does
like
performance equal educated?
exactly, exactly. And that's what this comes down to. It's like, what is education? What is the purpose of education? And right now, it seems to me, okay, there's the stated purpose and then there's the effective purpose.
Mhm.
The stated purpose is to prepare children for life, to give them the skills and the tools that they need to move on into the adult world and get and maintain a job and earn money and then, produce children to rinse and repeat.
Mhm.
That's more or less the stated purpose.
What's your
We'll get there.
okay.
The effective purpose, from my perspective, is to get good grades enough that will get you into a good enough college and or look good on your resume. So the objective then becomes grades as opposed to actual true
More of
learning.
a utilitarian
Mhm.
thing
So
rather
then,
than
you know, and then you wonder why kids are using AI. It's like cheating. Like people have been doing this like forever. So like since the what's the word? Inception of
formal education.
formal education. Yeah. Like people have been cheating since it's just easier now. It's like but they're incentivized to because it's all about the grades, not all
Mhm.
about, you know. So, what is the purpose of education? And yeah, this is not exhaustive. It's not These are just kind of like thoughts from the deep dark depths of my empty brain. But what I initially told you, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, is education should teach you how the world works, I think is one of the things I said. As I was thinking more about it, I have 2 or 3 more things that I think supersedes that and maybe even nullifies that. And that's
Okay.
education should teach you how to think for yourself. Education should teach you how to learn, and education should teach you that, to quote Ruth from Ozark, "You don't know shit about fuck."
I mean, and that's a paraphrase of Socrates. So,
He probably said it more with more profanity.
no, he it
What did he
basically was
say?
just basically, I know nothing. Like someone asked him, like, how did you become the smartest man alive? And he's like, I don't know anything.
Yeah. And yeah, and that's the thing, it's like, he was
My
incredibly smart and wise, but yeah, go
my
ahead.
answer to the question is very simple.
Wait, 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 wait.
You're really into these sound effects.
Do you expect anything else?
No, to be a better person.
And what does that mean?
What you break it down into the sections, to me, grades as a metric, I don't totally buy as a purpose of education. Then we can get into like higher education because our generation was sold on that you need to go to college to get a job, which there's validity to that, but that sold higher education's it reduced higher education as only a means to an end of making money
Yeah.
and
So
not
your
as a
challenge
means to be a better human being by broadening your horizons and opening doors you didn't know existed.
So wait, are you're challenging the stated purpose or the are
I'm
you
challenging the societal thought of you won't succeed if you don't go to college.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, so society's thoughts on the purpose of higher education. When it comes to like elementary and high school, and they did this in our public high school in our small town. So I think more rural communities still have like actual trade-based classes in high school. Like welding was a course, carpentry, auto shop, things like that. Home ec has disappeared, so like
Like home
how to
economics?
yeah.
Mhm.
That used to be a course in high schools, like, everywhere, and, now kids go into college not knowing what a tax return is or what to even do for taxes when that was something that was
But then
taught
the
in high
question
school.
is that something that like, the school system should be teaching, or is that something you should be learning at home?
Either or. I mean, if there's a if it's being offered, then maybe at the school, kids would be open to it and being like, this is a highly weird hypothetical, but it's just like, "Oh, you're doing taxes? Like, what's that entail? What's that look like?" Sitting down with dad to do, when it's tax season. Things like that instead of because I hear so often, like, I wasn't prepared for the world. I don't know how to make a budget. I don't know how to do this. No one taught me because, 1, parents are relying on the education system to instill certain there's a fault on both the education system and parents across the board.
There's also, like, there's no way that anybody can be taught all the things that they need to know at the level that they need to know it. At least, like, is that actually should that be the objective? Or do you teach them like, "Hey, you're not gonna know everything, and that's okay." And honestly, you don't need to know how to do taxes until you're an adult. You don't
If you
need
have a
to know
job in
how to
high school, you have to know how to file taxes.
okay, then learn it then. But,
Well,
like
that's where I was getting with my point,
sorry, I'll get up. Proceed.
because, okay, you don't have a job, you get in on scholarship, and you get out of college, and you still don't know how to do all of this. There's a lot of mysteries to the world, but these, let's call them soft skills, I mean, they're kind of vital, and if they were kind of universally across the education system and then 1, why were they removed if they're kind of vital to contributing to the GDP of America? We're gonna get into a really weird side topic, so I'm gonna try to keep this on topic as much as possible. Because at that point, like, your kid graduates and can calculate to, like, the 20th digit of pi, but has owned a car and has been driving for, let's say they're already in undergrad, let's say they're sophomores in college, and they don't know that they have to change oil on a car, even though they've been driving a car for how long, you know?
Mhm.
So, I don't know.
I would say that's more of a argument for, like, community, you know? Like, because if you don't have somebody who's going to teach you that in home, like, you need to have somebody within your village that can teach you that, you know? Like
Yeah,
or it's a call to action.
it's putting the onus on the unsmart one rather than the parents or the education system be like, "Oh, we need to make sure that, as he said, we're fulfilling our purpose and that they have the intellectual, you could call it intellectual, I'll call it rational freedom, the ability to critically think." There's a couple other ones, but I'll save them. I mean, calculating to a certain digit of pi is important because all of the mathematical implications down the road, if they want to go into a field of like rocket science or something like that. Like, if they're into that stuff, like, I'm going to cultivate the shit out of that. But we're going off on a tangent because, like, because I started off just being a better person. Like, there should be some hunger. I think we need to. What'd you do?
My Yeti.
Any
Okay,
hoozles.
it's back. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, be a better person. How can you be the best person if you don't if we aren't helping them discover what that entails? And that means reach I mean, you said it too. It's just a condensed form, but of the eudaimonia aspect, but it combines like all the other aspects into it as well. Can you
Yeah,
be a better person if you aren't rationally free? No.
right. Well, and like, what does it mean to be a better person? A better person is to be a better you, and like a better you is to be the person that you're meant to be. And how do you become, yeah, fulfilling your potential? And that requires knowing and discerning what that potential is.
Mhm.
And what are the chances that that potential fits perfectly within the rubrics of really any predefined school system, you know?
Right. Which is where I would go into like, does better grades mean better educated? Like,
No, no,
yeah,
I would
because
say
you
not.
can, yeah, if I want to take my cousin's son as an example for this because he's like 10 years old, kid's fascinated with ants. He knows as much as any grad student on ants just because he found a passion and every book in the library, go out, find every book in the library. Doesn't fit in a predetermined school system to have to learn about ants at his age and everything there is to know about ants. And it just blows my mind that and my cousin has just been full on encouraging him, like, "Okay, you found what you like. Like, what do I need to do as a dad to keep you going?" You know?
Yeah. And that, like, that is an interesting example too, because on the one hand, that's great. Like, they found their thing, and that's a good thing. They should dig into that. But then on the other hand, the challenge is getting so comfortable being the one who knows something about something, like,
Mhm.
and, like, knowing that you know it, and you get to a point where you're, like, learning like, initially, you're learning loads, right?
Right.
Like, you're learning about all the different like, subspecies of ants and their behaviors and, like, where they build their nests and, the circle of death and yada, yada, yada. Like, so initially, you're learning all this amazing stuff and lots of it, but then eventually you're like, "Okay, well, like, you're in the nitty-gritty and you're only learning extra because you learn about, like, all the measurements of ants and compared to each other and, like, what's their reproductive rate and, how deadly are they?" And you're like, at a certain point, like, there's only so much more you can learn. My point
Sure.
is you get comfortable knowing, and then so the challenge or the risk, the danger, I should say, is getting so comfortable knowing that specific subject that you aren't learning anything new, that you're not venturing out and realizing, like, I don't know about bees or I don't know about wasps and, like, letting yourself not.
Right, right, right. And val mm, very valid point, and, I mean, to get I kinda wanna counter it with, like, to get that specialized, you do need to have a whole other wealth of information in other subjects, but I'd also answer it, like, once you've read everything that's written, do you give up on that topic now? Or do you start doing your own research and trying to find what hasn't been written about or taught? Keep driving yourself forward into that and that works especially well in any of the scientific and mathematical applications of it. But even, I mean, yeah, it's a science. But even if you were to do something like art, you want to paint something that no one else has painted before, or you want to paint a concept of, you're getting into the abstracts. Like, what's something that hasn't been done before, and how can I accomplish that?
Yeah.
That's where I think receiving a good education, like you said, you need to know all these other fields. should have be able to grasp as a human being, high school level. And I say as a human being, we have I'll limit it to us here in the United States, and I know other countries, but there's some underdeveloped countries, so it's not a universal. But point aside, you and I at least should be able to talk high school algebra or work a high school algebra problem.
Let's see. ChatGPT.
Because do you remember like sitting in senior high school asking like, what's the point of learning all of this if I'm not even going to do anything remotely near mathematical?
Which is a fair point, you know?
But I mean, as an adult, you have to do finances. You did
Yeah, but
accounting.
yeah, but now, especially now, we have all the tools that can do it for you. So you don't. The only true value or benefit of mathematics or algebra or anything along those lines
But are you
is
are you living your full potential if hear
okay,
me
here's the
out,
thing.
hear
You're
me
not
out,
there's
hear
no
me
way.
out, hear me out. It's great we have AI and machines to do the simple tasks for us, but when you can understand why a squared plus b squared equals c squared in trigonometry,
I mean,
you're better off for it.
yeah, you're better off for it, but you're also better, like, arguably better off for knowing how far away the moon is or
No, that's the whole point I'm getting to. You're helping
so
me with that.
no, no, you didn't. But then just fill in the blank. You're better off knowing X. So it doesn't matter, like, insofar as just knowing something is better, it doesn't matter what you know. But if you add an additional layer, like, if you agree that the practicality of knowing the Pythagorean theorem versus the distance of the moon from the Earth is the same, like, let's not split hairs here, but, like, if they're relatively equivalent in value based off of just knowing something, then it's like, okay, well, like, just fill in the blank, learn whatever. But I would posit that there are things that are more important to know, and that is dependent on you as an individual and your purpose, and
Yes.
that may or may not include the Pythagorean theorem.
You're going specific. I'm speaking in generals because this is
But that's a challenge. That's the issue.
where would our advancement as a society and humanity come from if we just plugged things into numbers and didn't try to understand what was actually going on?
Yeah, so you're bringing up, like, in that instance, you would have to have a certain amount of faith that the response that you're getting is accurate. And,
I'm going more from the
like, in the
sure.
absence of knowing how numbers work, you would have to have a level of faith that the answer you're getting is accurate.
That's a side point to the main point, but sure. I'm going from the humans are philosophical creatures and we're built in with the inherent why, ergo the name of our podcast, Why Dad. So, like, why does you're feeding that natural wonder and curiosity to understand and know things as completely as possible as our human rationality can comprehend. And when you do that, you are living out your full potential in those moments. And so, yes, we can use the AI to plug in numbers, but understanding like how humans got to the formula we use to calculate an astronomical unit, why we use an astronomical unit to and other measurements, things like that helps you be the best person that you can be.
Okay. We both agree that, you know, pursuing that curiosity and educating yourself is good. And the more you know, the better off you are. Here's a fact: you will learn better if the better reason you have to learn.
Yeah.
And if you are just told to learn something, chances are you're not going to be as invested in learning that thing as you would be coming getting to the point where it's like, I want to learn this thing because like I want to learn a squared plus b squared equals c squared because I want to figure out like how long it's going to take me to cut across the, Farmer Brown's field, you know?
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with all
So
this.
therefore, you are burning extra resources to learn something you don't want to learn, which could actually be applied towards learning twice as much of stuff, numbers are just being used for example, twice as much of something that you actually want to learn. And therefore, you are bereaving yourself of knowing more.
Yes and no.
Ooh, ooh.
Because let's go back to you got to do your home finances. So yeah, you can put it in the calculator, but helping you under. Have you ever stopped to think like, one, why am I doing home finances? Because we're adults and we have to adult. Boo. That's the one joy of being a kid. You don't have to worry about budgeting and whatnot. But yeah, like, ever wondered, like, why when I push these numbers into the calculator, I get a red number?
But you don't even have to do home finances. You can just hope that you don't get evicted.
I got one of those alerts like, you spent more money than you made because I had a lot of bills this month and I had to buy a lawnmower. And I looked at it, it was like, you spent $2 more. I was like, okay.
Okay, here's the deal though. Like I could spend, like my dad used to do like bills on the weekend and he would spend like 1 to 2 hours sorting through bills and like paying them and logging them and whatever. And like I could do it that way or I could automate everything, plug it into, I don't even know. Monarch. Monarch is the system we're using.
Hmm.
And, what could take me 2 hours a weekend takes me 5 minutes a month, you know? Um,
Now we can go into your faith part, taking that.
yeah, and I have reasonable faith, and that has been backed up by, not getting a our house foreclosed on, Like,
I love our
so
extreme examples.
but and then I have energy and resources to apply towards things that matter, that return greater that have greater returns. And here's the deal,
We should study
especially when
philosophy.
was that?
We should study philosophy. It has great returns, especially when you're working at the
That's why I
philosophy
talked to you.
factory. So you take everything I say on blind faith?
No, obviously not. Anyway, we should probably start thinking about coming to a conclusion here.
No, it's just that's my simple answer. Be better person. Like I said, we went off way on a couple tangents because you have the ability to live your full potential.
Right. But
And then going into higher education, yeah, find something that drives you. Because at that point, you already have some education. Like, it's, it's so
here, let's break it down to brass tacks. Do you think that it is better or not to uh, pursue a traditional education through like public or private school and college?
Depends on the kid.
Okay. I think that's fair. Well, some kids may learn better, or to your point, fulfill their potential better with a different method of education.
Yeah, if one of my kids were to future kids were to come to me and say like, "I want to build cars," because he's fascinated with the mechanic shop down the road, and he gets into tinkering with cars. I'm not going to say, "Well, you need to go to college to learn and get a and then go get an MBA to be like." No, just go work on cars, kid. Learn
Yeah.
everything you have to learn about cars.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like the crux of it, like just be learning. And I think the biggest challenge of most school systems available in the US is it is so structured and so rigid
Mm-hmm.
that either you're going to end up thinking that you know everything because you're just acing all the tests and and just knocking it out of the park, and then you're bored. So you're like, oh, okay, like, you know, nothing's a challenge. I'm really good at everything. You're in for a rude awakening. Or you are struggling. You're like, I don't, I can't comprehend this. Like, and therefore something's wrong with me. Or I can't learn because I am not keeping up with my peers. And obviously, those are kind of two extremes of a spectrum, but
But they're on it.
they're on it, and I don't think they're uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the challenge. And I'm not saying don't send your kids to public school, but I am saying, like, I personally don't want to take it on blind faith that, just because the school principal says that critical thinking is a priority and that is what he said, that they're actually teaching effective methods
Mm-hmm.
of critical thinking. And they also say, and we reach each kid where they're at, and we come like, okay, like, I mean, but what does that mean? And how are you doing that? And so I don't know. Come back to me in a year. Like, if nothing else
No,
changes,
let's mark it on the calendar because I want to know,
yeah,
like, what supplementary stuff are you as a parent having to do? I think in our lives, like, parents are so busy, and like, we had a conversation with somebody, it's like, even if you're not interested in what kids interested in or whatever, you got to fake it, or sometimes you got to learn it alongside with them. But to your point, well, kind of a buried point. Like, do we just leave it all, like you said, do we just leave it all at the school, and once they're home from school, that learning's done? Or are we going to be in your shoes? Like, what else? Okay, what's going to be best for my daughter and son? And does that mean I actually have to be more involved than less involved?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that entirely. I am kind of, if nothing else changes, Evie's going to the public elementary school nearby.
Mhm.
And we've met the teachers, we've met the principal, we've toured the facilities. Evie's super excited. It's going to go fine. And I trust that whatever happens at school, we can guide and challenge and support Evie sufficiently, to navigate whatever she needs to navigate. And then when Liam comes around, we'll also have a better idea for how he operates, how he learns, what is best for him. And also, I mean, this is going to sound wonky. We're going to see like what they want too,
Right.
like how do they think they learn best? Like Evie, she's excited about going to public school. Like
Mm-hmm.
she also doesn't really know like about any other options, but at this point it is something she wants,
Right.
And I'm not saying like, okay, we wouldn't send her to school because she doesn't want to go to school. No, I, but the point being is like, yes, I agree with you. It takes intentionality. It takes approaching each kid where they're at, and it takes being involved
Mm-hmm.
and not just accepting it. You know. Anyway, yeah, we'll
I think
circle
my
back to
parents
this.
figured that out with Austin. For his junior, senior year, they sent him to a private school. And it was 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away. So he was spending all his free time in traffic. And what he wanted to do just fit better there was better offered in the public school. So senior year, he transferred back to the public school. And, it wasn't like my parents like, nope, not an option. It was just, they kind of took that approach that you're talking about. Okay, how does this kid operate? What's going to be best for him?
Yeah, and it's something we didn't talk about, but I think will be kind of like the capstone. Is it comes down to your family's like principles and values.
That plays a
Like
big part.
so we talked about like what is the importance of education, like what is the goal of education, and a lot of that is ultimately for you listening is going to be like driven by like your family's goals and values, and you have to look at the options available to you and see like, okay, does this help us achieve that as a
Mhm.
family? Does it help our kid achieve that as an individual? And
100%.
what are you going to have to do within or without the options available to best achieve that?
Mhm.
And so ask those questions. Don't take things at face value.
Exactly.
And, Andrew, I don't have a pen or pencil, so I might fail at this, but I have a high school algebra problem according to ChatGPT.
Where's
Do you want
paper?
it? Yeah. There is a pen. Okay. So let me know when you're ready.
Get my notepad.
As, as he pulls up his calculator.
All right. I'm typing this down so I have it.
No, it's just kidding.
Now, where'd you go? There you are. All right.
All
What
right.
you got?
So 3 parentheses
3.
x. Yeah. 3 open parentheses x minus 4 end parentheses plus 5 equals 2 open parentheses x plus 7 end parentheses minus 4. So I guess we're solving for x, right? And
Yes.
it's what? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? Or PEMDAS. So parentheses first. Oh wait, shit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's see if we get the same answer.
We're gonna edit all the silence out.
Yeah. Wait, what?
What'd you do?
No, I think I got it. Let me double check. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Did you get it?
I have an answer. Feel like I did something wrong.
Now, check my math.
Well, yep. So we both showed 17. So let's see what ChatGPT says. $32. No, I'm kidding. We got it.
Yay! See? We can do high school algebra in our
You were
30s.
right. I wasn't sure I would be able to, but you're right. Okay, go us. Go us. Okay, so anyway, that concludes today's show. Cool. So, if nothing else, the education your kids are going to will help them be able to solve algebra
On a
fif
podcast.
20 years down the road. Yeah, on a podcast. So, anyway, do drugs, don't go to school. Wait, no. Anyway, thanks, Andrew. That was fun. Hopefully we trust you, listener, also had some fun because if you didn't, you wouldn't be listening by now.
That's for sure.
let us know what you're thinking. And if you like this episode and you're thinking of somebody else who would like the show, tag them or send it to them or strap them to a chair and make them listen to it.
But don't make them listen to this episode first.
Yeah. Yeah, go check Sean Dawson's or Larry Hagner or stuff. Or go listen to our episode about the best episodes.
True.
Anyway.
We did do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, listeners.
Thank
Until
you.
next time.
Thank you all. Thank you, Paul.
All right. Toodles. Toodles poodles.
Poodles.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right.